Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem, Oregon. I am Gloria Holland, serving as one of three celebrants this morning. I'm joined today by Sara Pickett and the newest member of our worship team, Jessie Wilson. Welcome, Jessie. And I cannot begin to tell you how excited we all are to have our sanctuary open to you all again and to see you in person right here. Welcome, yay. Yes. Of course, we will continue to live stream and offer Sunday services on YouTube. So you all have lots of options to join us. Today is October 31st, and we all know that this is Halloween. Normally, for this service, we celebrate the Day of the Dead. And in the past, we've brought pictures for display, and we honor our ancestors in that way. Today, however, we're going to be celebrating those who have come before us in a bit of a different way. We put out a call for members of this congregation to submit short stories or poems, along with pictures of loved ones whom we might consider to be our ancestors. Today, we will be reading these stories as each part of the service. Before we begin, however, Sara, Jessie, and I would like to acknowledge and honor the Native American group known as the Kalapuuans. The Kalapuuans consisted of such tribes as the Tualatin, Yamhill, Santiam, Lucky Mute, and many others. These tribal people lived on the land we now occupy, and many tribal members now are part of the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde. To welcome you to this very special service, I would like to share a story sent in by Claudia Ferguson about Madame Marie Dorian. Claudia writes, I found out early in my grade school life that I was a descendant of Marie Dorian, a Native American woman in my little third grade Oregon history book. I knew I had a small amount of native blood, but I was not aware of her amazing life journey. Who is Madame Marie Dorian? Well, briefly, Marie Dorian was born in 1786 and died in 1850, and she was a Native American of the Iowa tribe. She was the only female member of the Astor Overland Expedition from 1811 to 1812. Her husband, Pierre Dorian Jr., was hired as a guide. She had 2 children, ages 2 and 4. Then she found out she was pregnant again. The Overland Expedition struggled with winter weather and, at the end, with lack of food. She gave birth to the 3rd child near North Powder, Oregon. Unfortunately, due to harsh conditions, the baby died a few days later. After reaching Astoria, Marie and the family returned with a trapping party to the Snake River area. All were killed by unfriendly natives, except Marie and her children. She became stranded in the Blue Mountain winter weather for over 50 days. When she realized they could not survive any longer, she burrowed a hole in the snow, lined it with fur, and placed her 2 little babies inside and went for help. She was rescued by the Walla Walla tribe, and the boys were found alive. Madame Marie Dorian was a devout Catholic and was buried inside the original log Roman Catholic Church in St. Louis, Oregon, where she resided in the later part of her life. She is remembered today by being one of 158 names in the Oregon State Capitol, and she has a historical marker and has been mentioned in various history books.
Our gathering hymn today is We, the Heirs of Many Ages. It's number 102 in the Great Hymnal. Please rise in body or spirit and leave your mask in place as we sing. We, the heirs of many ages, with the wise to guide our ways, honor all earth's seers and sages, build our temples for their praise. But the good we claim to cherish, all that Christ and Buddha taught, unrepentant hearts let perish, spurning truth most dearly bought. Centuries of moral teaching, words of wisdom, ancient lore, all the prophets' souls beseeching, leaves us heedless as before. Late in time may we, forsaking all our cruelty and scorn, see anew tomorrow's breaking, and a kinder world be born.
There will be many other nights like this, and I'll be standing here with someone new. There will be other songs to sing, another fall, another spring, but there will never be another you. There will be other lips that I may kiss, but they won't thrill me like yours used to do. Oh, I may dream a million dreams, but how could they come true if there will never ever be another? Ba 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 da da ba da ba da da ba ba da ba do ba ba da ba do ba 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 da ba da ba 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 da 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 ba da da ba da ba 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 da ba da ba ba ba. There will be many other nights like this, and I'll be standing here with someone new. There will be other songs to sing, another fall, another spring, but baby, there will never be another you. There will be other lips that I may kiss, but they won't thrill me like yours used to do. Oh, no, no, I may dream a million dreams, but how could they come true if there will never ever be, there will never ever be, there will never ever be another. Ba-da-ba-ba-boop-a-dee-ba.
Great. Hannah Louise Plimpton graduated from Mount Holyoke Female Seminary in 1848. She taught for 9 years and then sailed to marriage in Fuzhou, China, to Congregational minister and missionary Reverend Pete. There she learned that not everyone in the world knew what boiled dinners were. We call them pot roast now. Or that the people in her village already had spiritual beliefs, and so her role was not actually to change them. Through her experiences, she found the love of the country, the compassion of the people, the wish to explore religious themes, and the usefulness of hope in serving the needs of our world. In her wake, she has inspired generations of women to seek out education, theology, be compassionate, and serve the needs of our world through their own unique ways. These women include her daughter Ellen, my grandmother Christine, my Aunt Patricia, and now me. May we remember her and women and men like her who have helped and inspired us through the work of their lives as we say our affirmation. Love is our doctrine. Compassion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration, build a community of caring fellowship, nurture the hopes, and serve the needs of our world.
Each week we light 3 chalices. The first is for members of this congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem. This reading is from Reverend Rick. When Barbara Hanneman became enthralled with Unitarianism, she gathered together with enough Salemites, 10 in all, to form a Unitarian fellowship. Time does not allow us to detail Barbara's unfailing efforts and generous support of this congregation over nearly 7 decades. Barbara's efforts helped build this building. She raised funds for the chairs we're sitting in, and she saw to it that paintings, weavings, and sculptures were brought into this building. But more importantly, Barbara Hanneman helped to shape the spiritual DNA of this congregation. It is only fitting that the UUCS Barbara Hanneman Fellowship Hall is named after her.
Thank you, Jessie.
Okay.
As we light our second candle for our partner church in Siemanfalva, Transylvania, Romania, we aren't just connecting with unknown faces in an unknown village, far away to do good. We are connecting to our religious faith history and ancestors. We are sitting here today because of the efforts of Francis David, who established what we now know as Unitarianism, preached on the importance of liberal theology and freedom of conscience as well as freedom of the pulpit, who persevered in searching and speaking his truth to the point of imprisonment and death. And yet his beliefs and teachings have endured until over 450 years later, we in Salem, Oregon, have direct and personal contact with the descendants of that early Unitarianism through our partner church in Siemanfalva, Transylvania, Romania.
And we light our third chalice for our children and youth in religious education and around the world. This reading is from Barbara Stebbins Bowes, who offers these thoughts about her late husband, David Bowes. He died in 2013 after struggling with lung cancer. The son of a Baptist preacher, in his adult life, David became a Unitarian in Providence, Rhode Island, over 40 years ago. And then upon moving to Oregon, he became an active member of UUCS for 15 years. If you could ask him about his life, he would say that he learned to live it well. Indeed, when Barbara and David were married, his important part of his vow was childlike and wise. He vowed to prioritize the fun and joy of life together. And they did, through good times and hard. David will always be remembered for his beautiful bass singing voice that effortlessly found harmony and uplifted anyone within hearing range. He loved bringing people together to sing in choir, for barbershop quartets, for nickel and dime poker games, tennis, and even squash in this town of racquetball players. He also supported the congregation in ways that didn't seem like much fun, but did give him a sense of responsible stewardship, like serving on the UUCS board and developing an endowment fund for the future. In fact, his life's calling was to transform community and individual philanthropic dreams into reality, such as schools for children with autism and mental health programs for children, hospitals, libraries, and museums. And David always looked forward to the regular lunch dates he had with Reverend Rick, when they would shoot the breeze and share what was on their minds. David embodied playfulness, humor, harmony, and community. May his spirit brighten our journey into the future. Please join me in singing the flame into life.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
All of the children to come down and sit right here in front. And I'm not wearing my mask with permission from parents. I just don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. And you folks can all just sit right here. I'm Gloria. I'm taking place of Lily Walker. Lily is our religious education teacher. She's not here today. I'm going to tell you a story today about my parents. Their names were Randy and Muriel Smith, and this is from the viewpoint of their great-granddaughter, Fiona. On a hillside in the Coast Range near Falls City, Oregon, sits a tree farm about 150 acres in size, with the Little Lucky Mute River running right through the middle of it. Fiona's great-grandparents, Randy Sr. and Muriel Smith, moved to this farm in 1957 with their two children, Randy Jr. and Gloria, and that's me, and about 100 head of Jersey cows. Now, Randy Sr. had attended the University of California at Berkeley, and he studied to become a lawyer and a politician of all things, but his real love was dairy farming. Randy worked hard every day, milking cows and growing crops on their land. Did you know that cows have to be milked twice a day, every day, without exception? Did you know that? That is really hard. Oh, well, they do, and it's really hard work. Now, Fiona's great-grandmother, Muriel, worked alongside Randy, milking, feeding the baby calves, and cleaning out the barns. This was really hard work for her. One day, after Randy was able to hire help, Muriel took a job at a place called the Fairview Home, where she worked with mentally challenged children. She loved her job, and she adored those kids. Because the job of dairy farming was so demanding, Randy and Muriel, now get this, Randy and Muriel were not able to take a vacation together in over 40 years. Can you believe that? But when they retired, Randy became a conservationist, and that's somebody who helps protect the environment. One year, he was one of 10 people in the entire nation to win a Conservationist of the Year award in the whole country. It was really cool. Then he and Muriel, because of this, he and Muriel got to travel to Washington, D.C. and to Hawaii because of all of their efforts to protect and preserve healthy water. Now, Fiona never got to meet her grandparents because they died before she was born. But sometimes Fiona and her mom, Annie, and Grandma Gloria, and that's me, and Fiona's little brother, Arlo, drive out to the farm just to see how it's doing. The new owners planted hundreds of trees, so they all love to stand by the old dairy barn and look out over the pastures and the forests. Sometimes, when they walk down the lane to the river, if they're very quiet, they can almost feel the spirit of Fiona's great-grandparents. Randy, and Muriel Smith, while they take in the beauty and the history of this magnificent little farm. Thank you for listening. And now, if the people in the middle would form the love arch, we will send our children off to their religious education classes.
Wherever you walk, walk in love. Wherever you walk, walk in peace. Wherever you walk, walk in beauty all around you. Our hearts go with you.
Compassion. Lorna Young gives us her essay on my friend Eleanor. My mother died when I was 29. It was not unexpected. She had metastatic breast cancer. I had seen her the month before, but now I was in Pullman, Washington, in my first professional job as an entomologist. I was 29, a grown-up, a professional, and an orphan. I'd wanted to spend time getting to know my mother as a woman, not just my mother. I thought I had time. I didn't. I realized then that there was no one else to take care of me. I would have to take care of myself. Eleanor worked in the extension etymology office with me. She was the wife of a renowned zoology professor. Like many intelligent professors' wives in a small town, she took what work she could find. I don't know why, but I am forever grateful that she took me under her wing. She was close to my mother in age, but as different as could be. She taught me how to make a very dry vodka martini, how to appreciate baked potatoes with caviar, and the importance of a very good champagne, and that friendship could come when you least expected it. We went shopping that fall in Spokane, and I tried on a gorgeous gray leather coat with a silvery fox collar. It fit perfectly. I loved it. Looked at the price tag of $350 in 1978 currency and put it back on the rack. Eleanor looked at me and said, "You know, you can't afford that now." It was a revelation to one accustomed to student poverty. I bought the coat, wore it every day, all through the fall and winters. I still have the coat. It doesn't fit me now, but it will always remind me that she was there for me in every way at a time when I needed it most. Gratitude. Pat, the adoptive mother of my birth nephew, Luke, wrote a beautiful tribute of love and gratitude that she and her husband, Paul, felt when they were chosen by my brother and girlfriend to adopt this beautiful baby boy, Luke, my nephew, into their lives. The ability and want to have an open adoption has added amazing ties to both my and their family trees. The connection started through Pat and my parents, Luke's grandparents, and soon grew to include the whole family, including Luke being able to meet both his birth parents and a half-sister. These family connections, rooted in love, soon grew to all of us being together for all holidays, celebrations, trips, and long conversations. Together, we have all shared family delights and mourned our losses. We are all grateful to have nurtured this combined family of adoption and birth into one. And in January, there will be a new addition to this chosen family, as Luke and his wife Allison are expecting a baby. I am delighted with this news and think it will be great to be a great aunt. Two stories that remind us of our path of compassion and gratitude. And you may help continue to connect to all of us in our community by voicing your joys and concerns on our website, which you can see how to do. This week, two concerns were written. One was from Dina Yakel, who writes that her brother's grandson, Aiden LeGrand, 17 years old, was in a tragic car accident involving his car rolling, a fire starting, him pulling his friend out of safety, but unfortunately then he caught on fire. Miraculously, he is alive, but with 4-degree burns on his face. Recovery and rehab will take quite a while. Please send your loving thoughts to him and his family. Joel Martin also writes that they are grieving over the death of their beloved Minister Dawson Scout this past week. He was a great part of their family and had a wonderful personality. He was almost 17 years old. Joel says that we knew he was aging, but didn't expect the end to come so soon. Compassion and gratitude are our way.
Our pastoral hymn today is Mother, I Feel You. It's 1070 in the teal hymnal. You may remain seated. Please remain masked.
Mother, I feel you under my feet. Mother, I hear your heart beat. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Mother, I hear you in the river song. Eternal waters flowing on and on. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Father, I see you when the eagle flies. Light of the Spirit, gonna take us higher. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho.
Our own poet, Dina Triest, submitted a poem about her Norwegian grandparents who were young adults when they immigrated separately to this country. Dina does have memories of her grandfather. He became a civil engineer and built railroad stations in New York and bridges and large commercial buildings. Her grandmother died before she was born. It has caused Dina to wonder what message her grandmother might have left in her sewing as a seamstress and a tailor. I bring to you Standing Still by Dina Triest. Don't tell me the grandmothers left me no sign. Tiny, fine stitches mark their time, with messages sewn into the hems of the baby's dress, young men's cuffs, and lacy cloths with a Hardiger pattern. These are languages I can't decipher. Their firm fingers always worked while the grandfathers built up the map with a swiftness and sure foot. They spread out like a great road on a gallop with no end in sight. And the land gave back, always demanding more. I sleep hard as a grandmother on pillowcases threaded with their dreams. I see the grandmothers dancing with ghosts of the North Sea, singing songs in tongues, and their dead voices echo in my head with the words they never had time to say. I listen to the languages they keep. We have come to the edge now. The grandmothers tell us to stop, keep still, and how we'll continue to stay where we are and live on.
This tribute is by Ed Kramer about his father-in-law. Les Liscombe was my father-in-law for 14 years. I loved him very much and thought he was one of the best human beings I'd ever met. He was honest, generous, considerate, and caring. Along with chocolate and gin and tonics, Les loved horses and the sport of steer roping. He kept a horse at a riding club and tried to get out there every day on his lunch hour. When he suddenly passed away, the members of his club held a memorial ceremony. They honored him by naming the roping arena after him. They obviously felt the same way about him as I did. At Les's memorial, his son Bill, who had flown in from Australia, told a story about his dad that affected me greatly. Bill played basketball, and Les would try to be at all the games. During one game, Bill missed almost every shot he took. He left feeling very dejected. As Dad walked him back to the car, Les told Bill what a great job he had done at rebounding. Of course, the more shots he missed, the more chances he had to rebound. But that's what Les focused on. He searched for something positive to say to his son in the middle of what could have been a negative experience. Obviously, this isn't anything special. I'm sure most dads and moms do the same thing for their children. But what was special to me was when Bill told the story, he became very emotional and even cried, which I had never seen him do. It was almost 30 years since that game, and Bill never forgot that moment of fatherly support. My two girls were very young at the time, and I made a promise myself that I would try to be the kind of father Les was. I would always try to find the good in what my daughters were doing, to let them know that whatever happens in their lives, I would always be there to help them see the positive side of things, to support them no matter what. I know most parents feel the same way, so this is nothing unique. But to me it was, because it grew from a story about a man that I loved and respected. So even in death, Les Liscombe taught me a lesson that I will remember always.
Guy Hallman writes about a piano teacher who continues to influence him. Albie Turskoy was my piano teacher. For the first 4 years, I worked on a piano performance graduate degree at UCLA. The first time I entered his studio at UCLA, there was an audience of about 20 students, visitors, and admirers. Albie was demonstrating for a student the opening notes of the second movement of Beethoven's Last Sonata. He produced a deep, ringing tone that seemed to last forever. Delivered the harmony and structure of the theme with a simplicity that revealed the exquisite beauty and pain of those miraculous notes. This was a spiritual journey. After that lesson was finished, I timidly introduced myself. He said, "Ah, you're my new student from Eastman. Well, let's see what they did to you at the conservatory." I chose the Schumann Toccata. I was allowed to play it the entire piece. Then, an awkward silence. Albie looked knowingly around the room as if speaking to his fans. Finally, he gave me a knowing half smile and said, "Well, at least I have something to work with." Praise was rare from him, although he would often say to other students or the crowd, "You should be like Holman." He sometimes referred to me as the bear. He always has the music memorized, has worked out all the fingerings and difficulties. Then we can have a real lesson. The next lesson, he would usually take me down a few notches. Albie sits on my shoulder every time I play. He is frankly the greatest musician I have ever known. Thank you, Albie.
This is a tribute by me about my father. My very first memory is of my father. I was riding on his shoulders. I must have been really tiny because his head seemed enormous. He was a very young father, only 20 when I was born. His name was Warren Wood, and his nickname was Woody. He was a gifted artist, and I remember him sketching my baby brother as he slept. My dad could fix just about everything, and he built things too. He built me a little wooden ride-on toy, and I still remember propelling myself around the house on it. I love that thing. He had a miniature train in our basement, and we kids were fascinated by it. Our dad was a funny, loving father, and he doted on me and my brothers. He is gone now, but we remember him with love.
This is a contribution from Bob Muir about his mentor, Dr. John Miller. While parents are our last biological ancestors, we have many beginnings. All those who are a source of our beginnings are ancestors in a larger sense. In college, I met my first living philosopher, Dr. John F. Miller III. Entering problems of philosophy class, I saw a short, vigorous man providing the usual first day information. Dr. Miller soon launched into a description of the course in his own philosophical profession, language philosophy. This held that most philosophical problems are the product of linguistic confusion that can be eliminated by a more careful attention to the use of language. If that sounds dry, I assure you it was not. Dr. Miller was on fire. Next term, I registered for philosophy of religion, curious about the connection between these two seemingly dissimilar fields of thought and practice. Everything was up for grabs. We faced questions we had never considered and began to think in new ways about religion. Like others, I often hung around after class to ask further questions and get involved in debate. Ultimately, we would become lifelong friends and stay in touch. Later, his life took a surprising turn into Oriental philosophies and mysticism after he experienced several very vivid visions. He was sincere and open to my questions, and I became convinced that his experiences were real. John was ever my teacher. He modeled for me the important link between philosophical calling and personal character. He continued to teach philosophy until shortly before his death from COVID on January 1st, 2021. Rest in peace, John.
Some of you sent in pictures, and we'd like to share those with you now. This first picture is a tribute by Lisa Lermo. She says, "This is a picture of me with my mom Stella about a year before she died. She taught me to look at the possibilities in life rather than the limitations."
And this is a tribute by Cora Clark in memory of her friend Sherry C., who passed in early October from leukemia. She taught me to be true to oneself.
And this next one is a tribute by me. My parents moved from Arcata, California in 1949 and became dairy farmers in the Willamette Valley. My family has fond memories of their last farm located on Bridgeport Road out by Falls City.
A tribute by Barbara Stebbins Bowes. David hugs his two beloved children, Adam and Susan. He is remembered for his humor, his magical speaking and singing voice, playfulness, and strong sense of community.
And this is a tribute by Claudia Ferguson. This is an illustration of Madame Marie Dorian and her children surviving that winter, and that's the story I read to you at the beginning of the service.
A tribute by Ed Kramer. Les Liscombe was my father-in-law for 14 years. I loved him very much and thought he was one of the best human beings I've ever known.
And there's the picture, okay. This comes from Sarah Pickett. It's a tribute of Arthur Blatchley, written by his youngest daughter, Rachel. Arthur Theodore Blatchley passed away Wednesday, October 6, 2021, at the age of 96. He made a transition from minister to becoming a civil engineer, serving as a bridge designer for the Oregon Department of Transportation during the interstate highway era. If you have driven on any bridge on I-5, he designed it. And, somewhat ironically, he bicycled to work for 26 years.
This is a tribute by Sarah Pickett, taken in 1905 in Fuzhou, China. From left to right, my great-great-grandmother Hannah Louise Plimpton, Ellen, her daughter, standing, and Neela, the granddaughter, representing the beginning of Hubbard Pickett Women in the Religious Rules.
This comes from Bob Muir, a tribute. He's saying that he is in the arms of his mother Virginia, and then his great aunt Rosalie Love, then his grandfather Homer, and he says Homer showed his love by sharing his love of the Bible. And then Bob's dad Otis as a young Navy officer, and his aunt Jane Clanton.
And this is from Dina Triest, in memory of my grandmother, Sandine Carlson Kruge. She was the inspiration for my poem, Standing Still.
And a tribute by Ed Kramer. My maternal grandparents, Ida and Isidore Zashkov, thank you, I've practiced that, who emigrated here from Russia in the early 1900s.
And this is a tribute by me. This is my dad and me taken the year I would turn 4. My dad was a highly intelligent, loving father with a wonderful sense of humor. I remember him pushing us on the swings with great enthusiasm. When this photo was taken, there was just me and one baby brother. Eventually, he was the father of 4. He loved to spend time with all of his kids, and we were fortunate to have him as a dad.
This tribute comes from Bob Muir. Dr. John Miller passed away January 1st, 2021, from COVID. He was forever my teacher, loving and engaging his students, open to others' views, honest and humble about his own convictions, and exceptionally generous and compassionate toward others.
A tribute by Guy Hallman. Abby Zirko was my piano teacher for the 4 years I worked on a piano performance graduate degree at UCLA. His classes were legendary.
This comes from Barbara Stebbins Bowes. She says, I'm honoring my grandmother Ruth and great aunts Annis
Carlene, Christine, and Claire. They each embodied love, humor, and joy in their distinct ways. From the late 1800s into the 1970s, they lifted their Massachusetts communities with generosity and kindness.
And the final tribute sent in for today was by Gloria Holland. My paternal grandmother, Agnes Brown Smith, known to everyone as Toot, was the matriarch of our family for many years. Grandma Toot was a highly respected Christian Science practitioner and mother of 7 boys, my father being the oldest of the gang.
We would like to end with a tribute to the underpinnings of our faith. May we never forget. And we're appreciating the roots of Unitarianism in Romania and its founder, Francis David. Starting at the upper left is St. Michael's in Cluj, where Francis preached. And Cluj is a city in northern Romania where all of the travelers from here go when they first arrive. Second is the Edict of Turda, where Francis David spoke of religious freedom. And then the prison in Diva, where he died. In the lower left, there is the first Unitarian church in Cluj, and the Francis David Chalice, and then Reverend Shandor in our partner church in Szymanfalva. And I just have to say that I was fortunate enough to travel to Szymanfalva a few years ago, and these pictures just bring back the most wonderful memories for me. Thank you.
We have heard so many wonderful stories today. Stories of love and hard work, inspiration, nurturing, and how just being yourself can make all the difference in someone's life. Let us take a moment now to breathe in and out and focus in on someone meaningful in your life. It may have been your older sibling who taught you how to tie your shoe, or it may be the person you met briefly in the coffee shop, the one who listened intently to your story and said, "Wow, what an amazing life and person you are. I am so glad to have met you." Imagine the person that you picked in your mind. See them smiling at you, and you smile back and thank them for their presence in your life and how they are part of you now and always will be there in your heart. Blessed be.
Take this off. Today is the 5th Sunday of the month, and when we have a 5th Sunday, our Share the Plate recipient is our religious education program. I would like to share with you a wonderful thank you letter we got from some folks at the Marion Polk Food Share. Maureen Willette and Josh Gwynn from Marion Polk Food Share's Youth Farm writes with gratitude that they have wrapped up their 2021 summer season, and they send these beautiful photos made as a collage that's on the slide that you can see, and these were taken during their summer program. On the 5-acre farm located at Chemeketa Community College, there were 27 youth who learned about organic farming, teamwork, leadership, communication, and providing fresh food for their neighbors in need. So far, their work has yielded 13,125 pounds of produce that was provided in weekly shares to health clinics for patients managing diet-related disease and those at risk of food insecurity. Your support of the food share helps make the youth farm experience possible for these youth. Thank you for making such a difference for them and for our neighbors in need. What a wonderful program. I didn't even know anything about it. To submit your offering and to donate to the Marion Polk Food Share, you can go to our newsletter, or if you're here today, there are baskets in the foyer, and you can just drop your offering into the baskets. Thank you so much for your kind generosity.
My analyst told me that I was right out of my head, the way she described it. She said I'd be better dead than live. I didn't listen to her jive. I knew all along that she was all wrong, and I knew that she thought I was crazy, but I'm not. Oh no. My analyst told me that I was right out of my head. She said I need treatment, but I'm not that easily led. She said I was the type most inclined when out of her sight would be out of my mind, and she thought I was nuts. No more ifs or ands or buts. They say as a child I appeared a little bit wild with all my crazy ideas, but I knew what was happening. I knew I was a genius. What's so strange when you know that you're a wizard at 3? I knew that this was meant to be. Well, I heard little children were supposed to sleep tight, and that's when I got into the vodka one night. My parents got frantic, didn't know what to do, but I saw some crazy scenes before it came to. Now, do you think I was crazy? I may have been only 3, but I was swinging. They all laughed at angry young men. They all laughed at Edison and also at Einstein. So why should I feel sorry if they just could not understand the idiomatic logic that went on in my head? I had a brain that was insane. Oh, they used to laugh at me when I refused to ride on those double-decker buses, all because there was no driver on the top. My analyst told me that I was right out of my head, but I said, dear doctor, I think that it's you instead, because I've got a thing that's unique and new. To prove it, I'll have the last laugh on you, 'cause instead of one head, I got 2, and you know 2 heads are better than 1.
We take the light from our chalice, lighting the social justice candle as a symbolic reminder of the light and justice we carry out into the world. As we extinguish the chalices, let us remember that the single light used in UU services reminds us of our heritage and ancestors, not only as a religious faith, but also those in our lives who have loved and nurtured us along the way. May we carry our light with us as we continue on our own journey.
All right, well, the building's open. Oh, you are aware of this because you're sitting here. Good, excellent. So that's really exciting, and hopefully we can stay open longer this time. Let's go for that. We are asking that you still register to come here. It really helps, both in case we need to contact you, as well as Anna Talley really likes it for membership to kind of get that whole connected. So that's great. That's the, and then provide proof of vaccination. So, we had a reopening date contest, and people submitted guesses. Couple people, surprisingly, and I'm telling you, there was no actual hinting involved, but they actually guessed the actual date of October 31st. Can you believe it? So, as it says in the slide, we are going to figure out what these names are in person. So I'm an impartial judge. I am searching through the names now. I pull out a name, and it is, oh, my word, it's our own Jessie Wilson. And Jessie, for your, you win something. Come up, Jessie. This is what she wins. She wins a glass chalice that has been designed by our own Janet Stevens. Jessie, thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you. All right. Now, let me see if there's another name in here. You can see I'm just randomly drawing a name. It's Doc Hadley. Oh, my word. Yes. Doc is not here, I don't think, today. I'm looking. I don't see Doc. But he also wins a lovely glass chalice. So that's great. So thank you, everyone who participated in that fun event. That's great. Today, after the service, please say hello to your friends and all of us in Hanneman Hall for a great fellowship. And for those of you who are addicted to caffeine, coffee service is resuming next week. Be there or be square. Vicki Cunningham has the team leader on that, so you know it'll be good. That's great. Next Sunday, we have a guest speaker. It's the microfinance annual service, which is always nice to hear how that is working out. And Ron Hockley will be here in person. You recall last year he sent a nice video of himself, but he gets to be here in person, which he's glad about. And so that'll be really nice. Also, in case you just didn't know, there's a little notice there. Remember to turn your clocks back. We're falling back next Sunday. In other news of the community, we're asking members, to help with the coffee service, as you may know, and your team leader should be getting in contact with you the Monday before the Sunday. Choir rehearsals have started again. Very exciting, and I heard from somebody yesterday that it was just so nice to be back in the building. Everyone was really spread out nicely, and it was greatly appreciated, and they said a personal appreciation, if I can say the word, to Laura Christian. So thank you, Laura, for helping to make that happen. And then the last thing on here is our next Celebrating Diversity concert is the 12th of November, so it's coming up. So be sure and get your tickets if you haven't. And I meant to grab something else to show you, and I forgot. I was talking to Vicki yesterday, but as you go out the doors here, look directly to your right, and you'll see very cool brochures that have been made by the communications team. Vicki is holding up a sample of the different teams as part of our shared ministry. And they just look very, very spiffy, so be sure and check those out. And I think that is it. Thank you.
Our closing hymn today is Rank by Rank, Again We Stand. It's 358 in the gray hymnal. Please rise in body or spirit, and please leave your mask in place.
Rank by rank again we stand, from the far winds gathered hither, loud the hallowed walls demand, whence we come and how and whither, from their
Okay. Thank you, everyone who contributed to the service of appreciating our ancestors. You have made it a truly loving and memorial service. Now please join your families and friends, in person or in your heart, as we say these words together. May faith in the spirit of life, hope for the community of birth, and love for the sacred in one another be ours now and in all the days to come.